fighting for me but me. I ain't scared of nobody. Shit, Gervonta Davis ducked Loma for fucking 3 to 4 years. Devin Haney.
Proved that with Loma, bro.
Devin Haney, same thing.
So, what do you think about Lamont Roach and him?
Oh, man. That's a good fight.
Gervonta Davis is once again under fire for the same reason, fighting an underwhelming opponent. He has received flack for his choice of opponents, as some critics blast the American fighter for cherry-picking.
Face of boxing, weren't able to make the grand arrivals yesterday. I know sometimes like Canelo, I'm sure he doesn't want to go to the arrivals, doesn't want to talk to us and all our questions.
And stacking up a resume after his win over Frank Martin some months ago, he called out a list of fighters on his radar. However, we didn't hear any name that seemed like Lamont Roach. All we heard were names like Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Isaac Cruz, Shakur Stevenson, and Vasyl Lomachenko. How Lamont Roach, a fighter not even in the lightweight division, found his way onto that list and even fixed himself as Davis's next opponent remains unknown. Davis, 29, is again in the headlines due to rumors of his next fight, as he intends to take on super featherweight champion Lamont Roach. However, this will be Roach's first endeavor at 135 pounds to fight for the belt. And this is happening because the World Boxing Association granted a special sanction to Roach to have a shot at Tank Davis. At 30, Davis has been on Devin Haney's and other competitors' targets for his matchup decisions. The Dream even reacted with a laughing emoji when Davis made his latest announcement. Interestingly, Roach is not the only opponent Davis's team had zeroed in on. Edwin de Los Santos was also in talks. Humberto Betancourt, in a conversation with M City Boxing, admitted that they were contacted by Davis's team.
That's going on. Just to be here today, fighting in the MGM thing on, you know what I mean?
After such a lucrative offer, they even started preparing for the fight. But eventually, Roach claimed that opportunity for himself. When asked about the matchup, the coach declared, "Hey, I ain't knocking it. It is a good fight. A 130-pounder going up to 135? Why would you fight someone who is a natural 135-pounder? When De Los Santos and Roach are put together, the latter would come out as an easier matchup. Betancourt pointed out that it's tougher to beat a natural 135.
You got more to do, guys. I don't know. Right, Dallas.
You got Dallas?
Pounds boxer than someone moving up in weight. However, this doesn't take away from the fact that Roach is the reigning champion at 130, is on a 6-fight win streak, and has only suffered one defeat in his 27-fight career. Renowned for his explosive force and crowd-pulling skills, Gervonta "Tank" Davis has become one of the brightest stars in boxing. The Baltimore native, 29 years old, has an amazing record of 30 wins.
Pound for pound, I think I'm a harder puncher than Tank.
That's very interesting. I know the fans are going to love to hear that.
Davis often takes a different approach, generally allowing his opponent to win early rounds before delivering a knockout punch with one devastating blow. Currently holding the World Boxing Association Lightweight World Championship, Davis is one of the most marketable athletes in the sport, which is why so many rivals are eager to share the ring with him. Two-division champion Teofimo Lopez, who recently indicated he was ready for a confrontation later this year, is among those seeking a fight. In a recent interview with Fight Hype, Lopez questioned Davis's commitment to facing elite opponents.
Absolutely. Near the end of 2025, that's what we're aiming for.
There you go. There you go. You heard it from the man himself.
He emphasized the long-standing belief that Davis has been under close control by his management, particularly noting his earlier resistance to facing Vasyl Lomachenko. "They don't believe in themselves," Lopez said. "How many times did they say that Tank Davis was not ready for Loma? That they had to prep him? How many times did Mayweather have to speak for Gervonta "Tank" Davis? I'm just speaking facts." Lopez also referenced a sparring session from 11 years ago.
Comes to it, when it's there, it's a different story. At the end of the day, ain't nobody fighting for me but me. I ain't scared of nobody.
Where Davis, already a professional at 18, sparred with him when he was just 15. Despite Davis's aggressive tactics, Lopez noted that not much can be drawn from the experience. Lopez acknowledged that Davis is no easy opponent, but believes he is the only one equipped to defeat him. "Tank ain't a pushover. I guess the only one who can really beat Tank is me. I guess I've got to do it. Nobody else can." Though Lopez hasn't specified a fight date, He hinted at another potential weight increase.
4 years. Devin Haney.
Prove that with Loma, bro.
Devin Haney, same thing. He didn't want to fight Loma. He says to call out and everything. He only does it on social media, but he never throws anything out there.
Davis is expected to return to the ring in December in Washington, potentially facing Lamont Roach. The super featherweight champion IT was shocking when Gervonta Davis announced his new 67-fight PBC deal, indicating his intention to fight the biggest names in boxing. Davis mentioned Vasyl Lomachenko as his next opponent after the Ukrainian's win over George Kambosos Jr. to claim the IBF lightweight title. Tank also earmarked Shakur Stevenson as a future opponent. Davis's biggest win so far was his 7th-round stoppage of Ryan Garcia last year, but critics argue he has been running from the smoke. Shakur Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis is one of the most anticipated fights in boxing, but it continues to elude fans. Both fighters are currently competing in one of the sport's most talented divisions.
I'm a real fighter, that's what it is, and the truth. And the truth hurts a lot of people, but they got to learn how to take that in.
Which also includes Vasyl Lomachenko and Devin Haney. Following a knockout win over Frank Martin, Tank Davis entered talks with Lomachenko, but the Ukrainian eventually pulled out, citing a lack of motivation to fight again in 2024. While some in the boxing world called it a duck, others pointed out that similar circumstances occurred in reverse years ago. Asked by DAZN Boxing if he believes Davis ducked Lomachenko when both were competing at super featherweight in 2017, Stevenson was clear in his answer, "Yes, I do."
Say, man, look, man. Your beef is not with Floyd Mayweather. You sitting here beefing with Floyd. It's a fighter out here that's been calling your name.
Stevenson has also accused Davis of avoiding a fight with him, stating that Davis often picks the least risky opponents. That's why he's fighting Lamont Roach, because he'll wash him, Stevenson said. He's picking and choosing, that's what he does. Tank takes the least risk. Of course, Davis would deny all these claims and point to the fact that he actively tried to secure a Lomachenko unification fight this year, even though the consensus is that Lomachenko is now past his fighting prime at 36 years old. Nevertheless, Lomachenko has confirmed that it's not yet time for his retirement, so matchups between the top champions in the lightweight and super lightweight divisions remain possible in the future. Are littered with big names including Vasyl Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Teofimo Lopez, with fans hoping the matchmaking can match the talent in 2025. But before his fight against Frank Martin, Shakur Stevenson also questioned his decision to fight Martin. The boxing world is littered with big names, including Vasyl Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Teofimo Lopez, with fans hoping the matchmaking can match the talent in 2025.
One fight that is really the one. Bad. Like, if we were like gonna be for real about it, like,
keep it honest. What's the fight?
My opinion, because we talking about like skill and like boxing, like.
There's only one fight that really matters. Let's be for real. Keeping my opinion, because we're talking about skill and boxing. But before his fight against Frank Martin, Shakur Stevenson also questioned his decision to fight Martin. Shakur was on the verge of fighting Martin, only for his opponent to pull out. Stevenson faced Edwin de Los Santos in an underwhelming performance, although he still won.
Boxing, right?
Yeah.
Because we ain't talking about somebody that just got a good jab or what.
Yeah.
We're talking about like all around.
Can do everything.
Shakur felt that if Davis had been serious about facing the best, he should have boxed de Los Santos instead. That's why he's fighting him. He's picking and choosing. That's what he does. Tank takes the least risk. If Tank were this risky guy that he claims to be, he would have fought Edwin de Los Santos. Why not fight the guy that actually fought me instead of the guy that pulled out from fighting me, Frank Martin? That doesn't even make sense if you're really like that. You see, this guy de Los Santos is a really big 135-pounder. He's got boxing skills and power. You get credit for beating him. Why not fight him? Stevenson said. Shakur faced Aram Harat-Union on July 6th in the first defense of his belt.
Boxing.
Yeah.
Me and Tank the
biggest
fight.
That's the one.
It's the biggest fight in the world.
It was his final fight under Top Rank, leaving him a free agent. While many thought a win for Shakur could set up a unification with Davis, as the fight has been brewing for so long, the fight is yet to be made. Shakur recognized. Fighters want the most money, making it a calculated decision. This is a game where guys take the least risk for the most amount of money, and I respect it. They got it from the best of them. Floyd Mayweather Jr. I get it. Truthfully, you can't say nothing bad about me if you're not going to get in that fire, Shakur stated. Lamont Roach Jr. has been given special permission to move up from junior lightweight to fight Gervonta "Tank" Davis for the World Boxing Association lightweight title on December 14th. Roach Jr., 29, is the World Boxing Association champion at 130 pounds. The sanctioning body has approved a request made by his promoters to allow him to enter what would represent the biggest fight of his career without being stripped of his title. No Excuse Boxing Promotions sent the formal request on September 13th, which was received by the committee to be considered and consulted with the team of Albert Baturgazev, who is the mandatory 130 pounds challenger.
On a contract too, so it's it's going to happen though. Like, it ain't no denying the fact that it's going to happen, but
the World Boxing Association revealed that after the respective analysis and based on the internal rules of the organization, it was decided to grant the request to Roach under certain conditions. If Roach beats Davis in the fight, he will be given 5 days to send his decision to the World Boxing Association on which of the two titles he will keep and defend. On the other hand, if he were to lose the bout, he will be required to fight the official 130 pounds challenger within 120 days of the Davis fight. Rule C.16 states that the World Boxing Association may modify the periods for mandatory defenses for good cause, either in response to a request for special permission or on its own initiative. For its part, Rule C.46a reads that the body may modify or suspend the strict application of these rules when the World Boxing Association believes them to be justified in its sole discretion to accommodate special circumstances. These reasons include participating in an optional title defense, participating in a bout of recognized importance and significance to the boxing world, or extending or otherwise modifying a mandatory defense period. It was in June in Washington, D.C., on a ProBox TV promotion. Roach made the first defense of his title by stopping Fergal McRory.
Didn't see me. Make sure y'all come out. Matter of fact, I'm going to stay after the fight and take pictures for a couple people, as long as I can.
He had previously won it in a victory over Hector Garcia less than 2 weeks earlier. Also in June, the 29-year-old Davis stopped Frank Martin in Las Vegas, and now World Boxing Association lightweight champion Gervonta Davis may soon appear in the ring for the second time in 2024. The word on the street is that World Boxing Association super featherweight champion Lamont Roach Jr. was granted special permission by the World Boxing Association to make this fight happen instead of his mandatory fight against Albert Baturgazev. The World Boxing Association previously summoned Roach to face interim titleist Baturgazev earlier this year. However, a one-time exception was made for Roach to face Davis for the World Boxing Association lightweight title instead. There are speculations about when and where this fight may go down, with a working date of December 14th. However, Ring Magazine's Jake Donovan claims to have learned that the PBC on Prime pay-per-view could also transpire on December 21st. As for the location, Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. seems to be targeted, though the NHL's Washington Capitals have a game on December 14th in the arena, making the latter date more plausible. Las Vegas is also being considered for this bout.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just excited to be back. You know what I mean? I've been off for 14 months.
And if the fight happens in Vegas, the event could see a co-feature by David Benavidez. The duo previously did something similar on June 15th at MGM Grand Garden Arena. Regardless, the outcome of this fight will dictate whether Roach will have to face his mandatory challenger down the line. In case of an upset win for Roach, he will have a 5-day deadline to decide whether he will stay in the lightweight division or drop back to super featherweight. Conversely, a loss will set him on a 120-day collision course with Baturgazev to defend his super featherweight title. This is clearly not the biggest fight Davis could have landed, especially after talks with Vasyl Lomachenko fell apart. However, he does have challengers waiting at the ready to step in the ring with him. Rising lightweight contender Keyshawn Davis has expressed his confidence in defeating the World Boxing Association lightweight champion Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Keyshawn believes his height.
Thank you, bro. But that's because, see, Hector was supposed to fight me because I was the mandatory. But he uses voluntary defense to fight Tank, which isn't a defense because he moved up in
weight and technical mastery would give him an edge over the shorter Davis, who is known for his knockout power. Me and Tank fight, I feel like that's cautious. We all know what Tank's got. He's got that one shot to knock you out, so that's the only thing I'm looking out for, said Keyshawn in media reports. That being said, it appears Gervonta Davis will have to settle for Lamont Roach Jr. for now. However, given the lack of opponents, he might have to agree to face Shakur Stevenson after this fight or consider moving weight. It seems ES News co-founder Eli Sekbak has come to his rescue. When asked about the particular situation, Sekbak explained the decision was not Davis's fault. He took the lightweight champion's side and pointed out how promoters dictate the events and matchup choices, not the fighters. While many of these boxing professionals may have opinions about Gervonta Davis, what they can't deny is his superstar status and mind-blowing ability that makes him more than just a world champion. Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, and Floyd Mayweather are names that need no introduction. Aura does that for them. PR companies and managers attempt to create this type of aura, but ultimately fail. As a boxing fan, you yearn for these types of fighters.
By Romero. Talked about the jab that Romero's using, really effective. That was caught in the gloves.
They turn the mundane into a spectacle and leave the sport as legends. There is currently one fighter who has this special sauce in abundance, and luckily for us, his best fights are yet to come. Gervonta "Tank" Davis is a breath of fresh air. The 5 feet 6 inches southpaw from Baltimore, with a record of 30-0, with 28 fights ending inside the distance, is one of the biggest names in boxing. To the untrained eye, his boxing style could be seen as reckless, but he's far from it. What Tank does in the ring is intentional and precise. Not many fighters can boast a highlight reel like Tank's. His knockouts are mesmerizing. Davis's obvious attributes.
Davis is not using. Well, there he did. I was going Romero.
Are his naturally heavy hands, which make him capable of knocking his opponents out cold with either hand. His pinpoint accuracy and level changes make this God-given talent even more devastating. He tends to dip at his knees or waist, then spring up with his power shots. While watching Davis, you'll see him lunge or push in with big shots. This may look like he's leaving himself in a compromised position, but if you watch close enough, you'll see that he always finishes the shot in a safe position. He does this by framing, using his forearm to keep his opponent where he wants them, or using his shoulder to nudge them off balance. In the early rounds of Davis's fights, you'll see him take his time. He's not even trying to win these early rounds. He's downloading data. Davis is watching his opponent's shape, seeing what their power is like, and adjusting to their speed. Sometimes,
For a counterpunch, he might want to jab his way. Well, and there's an elbow for a
Good body shot. Second warning.
Good here is just counter left hand as the joy of Gervonta Davis.
It may look as though his opponents are giving Davis a run for his money. They're not. Davis just hasn't chosen his time in these early rounds. When the action hasn't kicked off, you might expect to hear some boos from the crowd or maybe some restlessness. Not in a Tank fight. The crowd knows a knockout is coming. That's the Tank aura. Undoubtedly one of the most eye-catching offensive fighters out there. His defense tends to get overlooked. This could be because all of his defensive techniques are implemented in a way that capitalizes on countering, which is the calling card of an intelligent knockout artist. You will often see his opponents in a game of catch-up because he's constantly changing his shape. Most fighters have a shape that rarely changes, whereas Tank will change his shape throughout his fights, sometimes adopting a wide stance with his front shoulder forward in the Philly shell, sometimes standing square in front of his opponents, all depending on how he wants to set his shots up. You'll see Tank baiting his opponents by putting his weight on his front foot and placing his gloves up by his temples. This encourages his opponent to overreach and make mistakes, allowing Tank to capitalize, a tactic we would see Mayweather use often. Davis's underrated skills, along with his KO power, make him the full package. He's currently one of the highest performing pay-per-view stars in boxing, meaning he can call the shots. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.